I just had just quick clarification because I've been working with the the chancellor office, and so I'm just trying to make sure I keep these things straight. I'm just wondering, when you say like these are individual decisions, I understand that we're going to copy the master course and have our own shell. So is each one of us running our own separate section, or are we going to be like co-running sections so that we will make these decisions with somebody else?
You're going to run your own session.
Okay, so we're not going to have like a co-facilitator or something like that. It's just, you. Okay.
Right. With about 30 faculty.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And of course, you'll have support from CFE, right? So you can get an instruction designer to jump in at any point.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely. Okay, so so I go down here. The second module is reflecting on teaching. So in this module, it's the same format, and we're asking them to look at their philosophy in teaching. We're asking them to consider the differences that they're being faced with by going virtual and not having this face-to-face interaction with their students. Within the modules, we have an application. So what we've tried to do is build this in such a way that anything they're building in here is going to be built directly into their course, their actual course that they're going to teach in fall, or something that will relate directly to it. So that they're not just doing exercises for you for this course, but they're building components that they can use in a course that they're going to teach in the fall. In that light, I would recommend that you encourage them to select a course for the fall to focus on with this class, because the ending product is actually a tour of that class. So if they're focused on one course to make these changes and improvements, then they don't end up bouncing around and not sure how to finish up their final product. That's a good spot for Kimberly, if she would like to introduce herself. Hi, Kimberly, are you there?
I'm here.
Would you like to introduce yourself and explain your role?
Sure. My name is Kimberly Coy. I am the UDL Faculty Fellow for the Center for Faculty Excellence. UDL means Universal Design for Learning. So I'm here to support and be a resource for Universal Design for Learning, especially with going digital. The work we've been doing with faculty up to the point of the pandemic this year was pretty well received by people, especially when they were using digital environments and especially when they were coming up with assessments. So that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you.
Kimberly, can you share a little bit more about what UDL is?
Sure. Universal Design for Learning is a pedagogy for teaching. So it's a way that humans learn. And it's based in neuroscience. It's relatively new. It's been around for, most popularly, for about 10 to 20 years. It works on any humans. So you can be in kindergarten or post-secondary, or I use it on my husband. And it helps you to use what you know is already effective in teaching and organize it in a way that is actually easier for you to teach and easier for the people you're teaching in your environment, your learners, to learn. Especially when we're going digital, it's a different type of engagement for the human brain. So I can help you sort of think about what you're doing in maybe in a different way, and maybe help you be more effective in your digital environment.
Great.
Thank you.
Mario, would you like to introduce yourself and explain your role?
Yeah, so I'm Mario Bañuelos. I'm in the math department, and I'm the Open Education Resource Faculty Fellow. I've been doing this for now a semester, and I'm here to help in any way I can for looking for resources for students. Also, if you have any questions on creating resources that are free and open to use, So I've been doing this is I just finished my second year, and my classes have all been free. So that's something I try to promote with whatever discipline you're in. So I'm here to help in that capacity.
Great, thank you very much. All right, so so that's the second module. And you'll notice that in the modules, these applications that they're being asked to do, we did put points on them. Not so much as that you're going to grade them, but you need to be able to verify who's completed activities and who has not. So the initial way we set these up was with points. They're pretty much all 10 points except for the final project. And then they're set to complete, incomplete. So you'll get a little check mark basically in the grade book to verify that information. Again, it's extremely important that they get feedback. So the feedback is far more important than any kind of points or anything you can give them. If you can look over their material and point out challenges as well as great points or well done pieces of work, that will help them improve their teaching and develop better as an instructor.
Just let me jump in here for a second, Walt. And again, realize, of course, we're talking about our faculty colleagues, so we're not telling anybody what to do. We're just making suggestions or recommendations, or have you thought about, these kinds of other things, perspectives.
Absolutely. As a group, this group right here, if you wanted to change this and set this up in a different way, then you could do that as a group and modify that. That's just how we set it up. Module 3 is on equity-minded teaching. This might be some area where it could be improved upon. This seemed a little light to me, but something you as a group could look at. And in here, we're asking them to look at what a learning profile survey is and to actually develop one that they could use in their courses. We also look at microaggressions and microaffirmations, and I think that's a fairly important topic as it comes under equity. And there may be activities that you have used that you have found that to be very beneficial to get those points across. And so if you wanted to add those in or had those, then this would be a place to do that. And then again, the summary, which would happen at the end of the module. Module 4 is the technology tools for engagement. This is a fairly large module, and there's a lot of information here. It goes from videos that faculty have developed for different tech tools, tech resources, how to humanize your classroom, and there's not an activity for that, but information, dealing with a low bandwidth. So a lot of information in here. There's a list of synchronous activities. These are mostly faculty generated videos, as well as the asynchronous activities. And one of the things we're asking them to do is to build one of those activities. Take something that maybe they did in the classroom and it just isn't working or hasn't worked this past semester. Build it with some of this information, change it, and make it work for this coming fall. There's also this list here, which is quite extensive. It was actually designed for face-to-face, but going through it, it would be very easy to modify some of these techniques for virtual. So by using Google Docs as a collaborative document, by using Zoom with your breakout room, with your polling, there's a lot of activities in here that could help with virtual, even though they're written face-to-face. So that would have to be looked at a little bit closer and maybe even a discussion as to some ideas, a brainstorming activity of, how could you modify this activity or how could you change this one? Assessment strategies has been a big deal. And so we've got a significant amount of information here. A lot of it, the first part is just other ways to assess than a multiple choice test, like a high stakes multiple choice test. But then also looking at the lockdown browser. So this is going to have your students go in and actually take a test with the lockdown browser as a student and experience that for themselves. And then this section is, again, because it's advanced, this is going to go into 10 and 2 strategies, which is 10 minutes of information or lecture and 2 minutes of activity, something I'm not doing here today, sorry. And just how to break it up a little bit so that you're not just a talking head for 2 hours. Tips on how to look best in video. And then quite a bit of information on Camtasia. So the basics of how to use Camtasia, how to make a recording using your screen share as well, and then processing your videos. So this section is going to ask them also then to apply it. So they're going to create a presentation. Again, hopefully something that's for the course that they're going to teach in the fall. So it's not just an exercise, it's something they will use. And then they will do editing on it and make it accessible for their students.
Well, going to jump in just for a second. Just so a couple updates, because you're going to be on the kind of cutting edge of all of this work. There are a couple things to be aware of in terms of the campus environment. Walt mentioned testing and proctoring, as you all know, either anecdotally or by your own experience, that it is a significant issue for the campus and how we accommodate our students. Hopefully, if the community is still open, access to Wi-Fi would be less of a problem than it has been thus far in the spring. Because the businesses are open, there's another opportunity for students to get access that way. Still not the best environment, but it's at least an option, potentially. We do not anticipate at this point in time that any testing center will be open on campus at the beginning of the fall term. Depending on how things go, it's possible that we'll have some of that available towards the end of the fall term. But if you've been paying attention to what most of the experts are predicting, a second wave at some point later in the fall, beginning of winter is being predicted. The second piece is that the university right now is involved in evaluating some video platforms. So that includes a streaming server to host video in addition to Zoom Cloud and other areas. But so that if that happens, we may have an update for you in terms of video creation during the course of the summer. We don't anticipate anything will happen in the next couple of weeks, but we're moving as quickly as we can to make that happen for the campus.
Right, and when that happens, you guys are going to be so relieved because it's a platform that is integrated with Canvas, and Camtasia will still serve you well, but you won't have to deal with YouTube. You don't have to deal with Google Drive if you don't want to for video storage. You don't have to deal with the streaming server. So that's going to be a very, very good thing. Okay, so this application again is to record and to post a video. And then the summary for this module. Oops. All right, so module 5, sharing content OER. So this is Mario's area, and he can help you out here. We've put this together to hopefully give you a good sense of what OER is, and a lot of information in here, how to license it through Creative Commons, and more material is coming through, being licensed as Creative Commons. And then we're asking you to this, which is, I don't know what that is because that's new. Sue, do you know what that is?
I can say what that is.
Oh, Mario.
So it's just a fast way to create the attribution with a source that you're going to use. So if you click on the link, you just put in the information and it creates the attribution for you.
Okay, awesome. And then the application here is to design an OER activity. So get some material that is accessible through open educational resources and then embed it into your course in a way. Again, the same course that you've encouraged them to choose at the beginning. And then the summary. Module 6, this is our ending module. So this is the last one. And again, you want to look at this and decide how you're going to time this for your class. They have a certain amount of time to get through, and you have some face-to-face Zoom sessions to work with them also. So in the last module, again, we have the overview and some objectives. And then they have a reflection, which is a discussion board, which they can view each other so that they can get some input that way also. And then the project is a course tour. So this, they have to create a short video, and it gives the directions in here and the information that kind of tours their class that they built and highlighting the different projects that they created as they were going through this class. So when they're talking about OER, they would point that out and say, this is my OER activity, and it's wonderful. And then there's a summary for this. So that is basically the class. We've cut down your menus. But other than that, that's about it. Let me check my notes real quick. Any questions?
Well,
yes.
I was wondering, are there rubrics linked to the assignments that we're grading, or?
We do not have any rubrics linked to it. We kind of felt it was far more important to provide them feedback and maybe just look over the material rather than give them a point or a rubric. Many of these are things that they're going to be using in their course. And if they're doing that for their course, they want it to be accurate, right? They want it to be as best they can make it. And hopefully that's what you will do for them. They're not expected to have a grade from this. I believe it's just going to be a completion or not complete.
And one additional thing, Annabella, for that too is, although we have points associated with each of the assignments, when you're grading it, we just changed it to complete, incomplete. Like, did they turn it in? Did they not? But again, that could be up to each individual facilitator how they want to kind of move forward with that for their section.
So basically the goal is really just to give them some feedback, but we're not really looking at quality per se. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, someone could turn in something that doesn't really meet the requirements of what the assignment asked for, but they would still just get the credit for turning something in. And then in the feedback, you would like focus on one or two things and be like, work on this kind of thing. But I mean, quality then isn't really being graded in that sense. It's like submitting something. Right.
It's not being graded, but I would hope as a colleague, you would, point out things that, well, this is a little weak. This could be better if you did this. And again, as Rudy said, where you're not telling them what to do, you're just kind of giving them some information and pointing them in the right direction.
If I can add, because I think this might help frame it, it sounds to me like we're coaching. So we're taking people where they're at. Somebody, what that might be, I think, positive presupposition, what they're turning in is what's their best of what they're understanding right now, but we're going to have a whole spectrum of understanding and ability, it sounds like. So with that, I mean, I know there's still the foundational piece, but even with those who've taken stuff, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking like a coaching lens, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. All the faculty that are in this course have either completed Discover E or COLT. Okay. And you're still going to get that range because of their experience and what they've done or not done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. I just wanted to get a sense of it because like on the chancellor side, in the last session, and this might have been because, some people were still in semester, but there's definitely people turning in assignments that were not really completed, or were sort of like, oh, like they did one thing and everything else they hadn't done. So we do, like, they do have rubrics on that side. And like I said, it might have been because people were still kind of grading, and so they're still dealing with their other things, and then they're having to turn things in. But I just wanted to make sure that, what the role here was, just to confirm that.
Right. Okay.
I did have another thought that just had popped into my brain, because you had mentioned that the equity-minded module, that one's rather short, and the next module, the technology tools, are really, really long. Like, there's a lot of meat in that one. And one thing that I thought could maybe switch, but I know it's something that we would all have to talk about, is for the tips for humanizing the online learning. It could go into the equity-minded teaching, as we're using culturally affirming practices and humanizing the classroom. I was just thinking that might be at least one that we could, like, take off the heavier one. And I don't know how others feel about that, but it's like setting the groundwork before we get into the tools, which it does do that in that module. But I thought, well, maybe it could help beef up module 3 a little bit.
Right. You could, obviously, as a group, you could decide to do that. Keep in mind that these modules were not built equally. So they're not all 1 to 2 hour modules.
Okay.
The tech module, I think, initially was, I don't know, like 5 hours or something, because it had
big
content in it. So I think we still have those initial times somewhere that we could post in here if you wanted for a gauge. But
helpful.
they were not built equally by any means.
Okay.
They're not like a weekly module. Any other questions?
Hi, Walt. This is Fernando. When will you know which session will be assigned to? I know that there was an actual question mark for some of us. I'm assuming that is based on attendance.
Rudy would have to answer that question.
Yes, Fernando, that's true. We're still gauging who is eligible for which pieces of this. So we're hoping to get most of that done on Wednesday. We will populate all of your courses on, well, I shouldn't say all of them, at least the ones that are starting on Monday on Friday. So that will be the time to trigger some kind of communication to those faculty who are participating beginning on Monday. The structure, and I think this was in the message that Brian had sent out to y'all, is to have for each 3-week course, one face-to-face on that very first day. So in this case, that'd be Monday. One synchronous. One synchronous on the first Monday, one synchronous on the second Wednesday, and the last synchronous on the last Friday. So it's just spaced out that way. Everything else is asynchronous. Obviously with, communication and support along the way for our colleagues.
Would you anticipate to have us meet on campus at any time?
No.
Thank you, Rudy. Nice seeing you.
Can I ask another question about due dates? I know you said that, you don't have, like, that's up to us to set due dates. And I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations about, like, should we set like hard due dates, or should we, as long as things are done by the end of the 3 weeks, like, is there a recommendation how this might work best? To keep people track and moving,
Yes, I would set dates. They don't need to be extremely hard. I mean, you could be flexible a little bit with them, but I would definitely set dates. And then when you do your Wednesday Zoom session, you can just reaffirm those and check up on with people. We want faculty to complete the program. And if they don't do it until the last week, they're not going to get as much out of it as they could. And they're getting paid to do this. So we really want them to get as much out of it as possible. Any other questions? So as you're teaching your course, the instructional designers will be available. You can just contact us either through CFE or directly. I don't think any of us have a preference on that. And we can help you in any way we need to. If we need to meet in a Zoom meeting, or if you need just some advice or you got stuck on something, please reach out and don't hesitate to get our assistance. All right. Well, that's all I have.
I have a question, Walt.
Yes.
You mentioned asking us to add more content in certain areas. Do you have like a deadline of when that needs to happen before you copy over the courses to the individual instructors?
I hate to tell you this, but Wednesday would be a great time to do that by.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, we're, as you can imagine, we've been sprinting for 2.5 months, and that's whatever it's been. And we're still at it.
Yeah, we would really appreciate your expertise in these areas. So if you really have a passion and have worked with some of these, you might be able to go in and just say, you know, it needs this or it needs that. So the group expertise here to kind of polish up this course and finalize it, that's what we're looking for. Then if it's done by Wednesday, then you'll get your own personal shell, and then you can do any personalizing you need to do at that point for your shell, what you're going to teach and what you're comfortable.
One more question.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if we do have something or we see something, do we just go ahead and make changes, or should we email you the suggestions and recommendations, or, you know, like?
I think as this group, you can just make your changes and notify the group. I'm not sure we want anything deleted unless it's replaced with a better, which is very possible. Yeah, I think as a group, it's your decision.
And the email that went out today with the invite, that's everybody in the group, so we could just sort of use that as the chain email.
Yes.
Except for, well, something interesting. I never got the other email. I only got the link in the announcements, and it sent me to the other one. So something happened with my email. That's how I ended up in the wrong meeting.
Okay. I can look. So I'm pretty sure I
clicked on the one in announcements.
Okay. Yeah, I sent that one out. The email itself would have gone out after that because I was like.
Yeah, it's really strange because I didn't get any emails. Then that's only from Brian.
Okay, so no calendar invite. Okay.
Yeah, maybe Walt, you should send an email to everyone in the group and start that as the initial one.
Like a new fresh, yeah. I don't know what happened, but I even double checked. But then I thought, oh, it's probably in the course shell, and it was. So.
Okay.
It's probably the blonde hair.
It is the blonde hair. I know, Walt, it messed you up.
No, the same thing happened to me.
Yeah, Veroxy wrote that I was not on the invite. Thanks, Veroxy, for seeing that because I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'll send out another one and make sure everybody's on it.
I know there's lots of moving pieces. Don't worry. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
I want to circle back to Annabella's comment about changes to the course in general. And as I think, as with anything, as we gain experience, especially this first group that's going to go through starting on Monday, if we see things that just aren't working, we need to be aware of that. Or you find something along the way that looks a lot better. So we're always in this mode of continuous improvement.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. Appreciate it. I hope you have an exciting week. And then some of you are going to get to it on Monday. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
have a quick question on Monday. How long are the synchronous meetings supposed to be?
Rudy.
I really think in an hour is probably plenty. Again, just kind of overview of the course, kind of like we did today,
Okay.
and get that stuff established with your group of faculty.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.